titled Rastafari. That one's from the new album Watch and Pray. 10:39, and that's the last one from Alpha and Omega for the time being. We'll let you talk a bit more later. Big thanks and respects to Christine for the moment, and of course the other artists. The other artist we have live and direct in the studio tonight is the man like Dub Judah, going to run in a couple of tracks to warm up for when we bring him in. Babylon is a Trap, the killer track from 91, especially out to Murray. Hold this, hold tight Andy.
Babylon is a trap, is a trap. Babylon is a trap, is a trap. Babylon is a trap, is a trap. Due to misunderstandings and misinterpretations, due to confusion, man a mix up and a fix up. Due to lack of education.
All I want is a tune with a good lyrics. No dibby lyrics. Just strictly roots.
Babylon is a trap, is a trap. Babylon is a trap, is a trap. Babylon is a trap, is a trap. Due to misunderstandings and misinterpretations, due to confusion, man a mix up and a fix up. Due to lack of education, wicked a control the nation. Due to lack of employment, the youth them a turn militant. Due to lack of intelligence, man a fight against him one brother. Due to lack of investment, banks start to trade in corruption. But due to lack of political strength, enough man against a death sentence. Right from up Ethiopia, way down to even Tanzania, all even in China, all even in Albania, all certain parts of Russia, all over the diaspora. Babylon is a trap, is a trap. 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 Oh yeah, if I could walk over England, walk over Africa, I wouldn't do such things, for I'm not a racist, so you don't have to vex about this, cause Rasta intelligent, and Rasta man diligent, we have a commitment, but due to lack of information, bound to can eat himself. Talking about him a done man. Talking about him a wicked man. Innocent youth a follow suit. A kill themselves to wear crisp boots. A disconnect themselves from the truth. A disconnect from King David roots. But due to lack of intelligence, no man of in a death sentence. Right now from Ethiopia, all over the diaspora. Babylon is a trap, is a trap. It's a cycle, a trap, in a trap. Babylon is a trap, is a trap.
This is Dunnet Fort. The lioness roars again. Come with it, Rootsman.
Right now, with the maca, me I tell you, with the maca.
Yeah, that's Dub Judah. And of course, that was the top UK Roots track from last year. Babylon is a Trap. And this cut taken from the album of the same name. So, Julia, I'd like to welcome you here to the studio tonight.
Yes, greetings to all the people in Bradford. Anybody else who, well, some people might be on tape, you're not supposed to do that, but still. Judah, yeah.
Right, can you tell us how you started off in the business?
Well, in the business as such, well, I was doing the music, well, musically and all over. I mean, the first thing I remember doing really is playing wooden spoons, right? But that obviously developed. I was about 3 then, right? When it comes to the business side of things, I mean, maybe the first thing I remember doing that was business-like in the business is selling dub, really. You know, like certain sounds like Black Ace, Zulu Priest, and certain sounds from Hackney sides. I've sort of channeled a lot of my energies into just vibes up my own music, going in the studio, paying what was it them times, about £4 an hour, and you know, just coming looking at a few tracks and letting man hear them, then one by them. You know.
So how old were you then when you first started making tunes?
When I started to do it in that way, I was probably about 15, going on 16, that kind of age. Still in school, playing melodica those times as well. A lot more of that kind of, you know, more natural. What the kind of music, Augustus Pablo, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I hear you used to stand in the shaka dances down in London, play melodica in the crowd.
So some of these intelligent things, man. Yeah, that's what I mean. One point I used to go on the mic and things like that, but then, well, just it wasn't. I felt more of a vibe just being in the corner, just playing away, practicing my instrument. And certain times you get man, standing around to hear what's going on and things like that. Yeah, but those years, you're talking about like the 70s, when shuffle used to kick up at the time, it still does.
And as far as I'm aware, the first group of artists you got together were under the name Jar Foundation. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, what happened with Jar Foundation, the name itself was probably founded about, 84. Some of the musicians, oh, mic's a bit closer here. Some of the musicians, I played with them prior to that. In fact, my first band wasn't actually Jar Foundation as such. I used to play, I wouldn't call it a full band, it was drum, bass, keyboards. Some people would call that a full band in the vocalist. And it was called Ephes Damin, which I think it's only mentioned once in the Bible, that name. That means transfusion of blood or a drop of blood. And that's where a lot of the inspiration of what I'm playing actually comes from, those times, that band there. And some of the tunes what you're hearing are probably redos of stuff what we played, we wrote earlier, things like that.
So how long ago was all that taking place then? What sort of year was that?
In about, 77, 78, 79. I was working for GPO them times when it used to be called GPO. So there's no, it's not that long. I'm making myself sound like an old boy. You are.
Right. Why did you spend so long on not actually record or make records? Really, why have you waited so long to start putting records out?
That's a question I could never really get deep into the fullness of that. But I tell you, due to being a dub person, I was more interested in that side of things for quite some time, to be honest. I mean, I think there was once when I went to a company, I think it was, I can't remember the name of the company, Nationwide, I think. It was run by Pepe Judah at the time. Once I took my tapes down to a person who wasn't so interested, and that put me off in a lot of ways. Maybe if he'd have said something positive to me, I would have thought, oh yeah. But it was a guy named Jabani. He used to play with Matumbi a long time ago. He sort of gave me the idea that was when 7 inches. They were a bit more expensive in certain ways, considering they're not far out from the price to press up, in these times. Yeah. But he was the first one sort of advised me that would be a nice thing to do. I think he put out a tune in those times called African Love, and he showed me all the ropes, and I sort of had it sort of like on the top of my head for a little while, saying, oh yeah, one of these days I'll go and put out music and whatever. But it finally happened anyway, after Digital Dimension, when the band was sort of some of the guys had moved to France, but every time we had a gig, they'd all come back to England and so forth, and things were getting a bit hectic that way. I decided to put an LP out for some of the work.
So who are the other musicians then who make up the Jar Foundation or the Foundation players?
Right. The real nucleus of the band was Benji, Russ Benji, who lives in Deptford. He used to do a bit of teaching up there as well. He used to run a dub music workshop. Tony Gadd, who lives in Paris now, is now dealing with Jar Wisdom label, which is seemed to put some tracks over in this country. Myself, some of the other musicians often floating, you get the guitar, drummy, obviously, straightforward. When you say the real nucleus is you would more look at the drum and bass and the two singers, I would say, and the rest of the musicians are more like floating musicians.
Right, and the first thing that came out was the Digital Dimension LP, the dub album. We're going to touch off the track, which was the single of the album from a couple of years back, No Trespassers. Dub Judah selection, especially out to all the listeners.
trespassers on my property. This is the land that Jah took it to eat. Jah took it to eat. People all the world over, they are being exploited, working for the rich man. Families, they don't think it's funny, so dependent on money, sold the trees of their lands. Yes, and it come on, you know it start as it rain, and all the vegetation went down the drain, and every little thing is start feel the pain, and someone say don't let it happen again. But if you leave it too late, mankind you're gonna seal your fate, or to stop at the gate. No trespassers on my property. This is the land that Jah took it to eat. Jah took it to eat. No trespassers on my property. This is the land that Jah took it to eat. Jah took it to eat. Minerals all the world over, they are being extracted for the use of man. Pirates, all with wicked intentions, kept on coming for spices till they captured our lands. Yes, and then we ended up in shackles and chains, and every living thing they stopped through the pain, and all the vegetation went down the drain, and some were saying don't let it happen again. But if you leave it too late, you're gonna seal your fate, hard to stop at the gate. Don't trespassers on my property. This is the land of the Jah took it to eat.
Yeah, this one was a 12-inch about 2 years ago. No trespassers.
Business, people, doctrine and
Dub Judah selection.
poultry farmers and races, they are trying to expand.
And I'm gonna keep this one reasonably short as Judah's here in the studio with his DAT machine and a pile of DAT. So we'll move on with the interview. Can you tell us what artists have inspired you and influenced you in the music that you make?
Well, people like I don't know if the youths then would even remember some of these names. Well, Big U, Tabazuki, the obvious ones like Gus's Pablo, King Tubby's, you know what I mean? That, well, what you hear about V Jackson especially, you know, people like that really get, you know, shivers.
And some of the work that you've been doing, apart from your own stuff, is you've been working as a session musician, haven't you? Mainly for Twinkle Brothers and for Simbas, I hear, as well. Can you tell me about that?
Well, with the Fasimbas, it's not something. I mean, some of the musicians you probably know are the same musicians from the Twinkle band. Yeah, I've played with Shaka a couple of times on stage. It's not a regular band. Well, as now, I'm the regular bass player for Twinkles. As you probably know as well, I've been doing a lot of the last stuff over the last couple of years. In fact, most of the stuff that's been out, including some of the stuff, the Polish stuff with the violins and all that sort of stuff. Sessions. I mean, sessions is something you do with almost any and anybody from that you know you can have some money coming in somewhere. That's how musicians eat. You know. So yeah, I'll never. That's one thing I'll probably never stop anyway. But, yeah.
So how did you first link up with Norman Grant?
We used to meet each other over the years, just hail each other up, brethrens and so forth. But I mean, it's just he's so close to me. And he knew of my works, I knew of his work. One day I just invited him up to the studio, which is a very small studio, but with what we can do, what sort of material we can get out of it, is really the main thing. Don't worry about size and that sort of thing. Yeah, and basically we just hit it off as we started. Just put that first LP with Babylon Rise Again, the samples and those things. They were like, how can I say, just something that need to just get out of my brain and out of Norman's brain, like frustration, just getting this music, loads and loads of music together was how can I explain it? I don't know if you're a musician, you would know what I mean. You know, the vibes of the music are slightly different from also what Twinkle's been doing and myself, you know, because we're live. It's most of our stuff is basically live normally. What I've decided to do is just venture more deep into the digital world. From the time I put the first LP, Digital Dimension, that was one of my aims, was to try a bit of the digital side of music, and that's what me and Norman have been trying to do over the last few months.
And then the single came out, Babylon is a track which was phenomenally successful, really, on the Roots scene. Were you completely unaware of how successful it was going to be once it came out?
I don't know about success, but vibes-wise, I always check my tunes to be of a certain style. But I couldn't say, I would never have known that it was going to be like classed as number one. Up to now, I don't even know if people are really serious about it. But you know, lyrical. You know what I mean? I've wrote the tune right. One time I was riding up, believe it or not, to the dentist. You know, and I came up. You know, I was making up the bass lines. This is how I work. You know, vibes at the tune then before I do anything. Yeah, I'll get the mic a bit closer. Yeah, vibes at the tunes then long before, you know, I actually put them down. So what happened was I was riding towards the dentist, and I was thinking of all these lyrics, and it all connected up with me going to the dentist and not really wanting to go there, and all sorts of things. I'm thinking of the whole system and just in general. And that around that period of time for me, you know, lyrics just came out, you know, that way. They actually came out with a different catch line, which was about millionaires and so forth, and buying certain products and so forth. It was based that way, but because of the cycle, it's a vicious cycle. That was the aim of the song. So that's where it basically started.
And of course that led on to the album of the same name, which I'm going to play a track from now. This one entitled Deep Meditation. And this one's going out to all the Iration crew over there in Leeds. Dub Judah selection.
Meditation, yeah, boy, yeah. What could you have been thinking of? What could you have been thinking of? What could you have been dreaming of? What could you have been dreaming of? A polyaniver looking for their God. They go up so and start fighting with iron rod. Their mentality must be mad. Their meditation must be bad. To leave and go into darkness, then come back and be with other wickedness. Hey, what could they have been thinking of? What could they have been dreaming of? Their foot in the sea and they dirty it. Breathe in your air and they foul up it. Wipe out your landscape bit by bit. Wipe out your creatures bit by bit. Press in their flesh, man, they're full of it. Come like we don't know about the Trinity. Cause everything it seems is vanity. What could they have been thinking of? What could they have been dreaming of? That come from God or come from a God that look like a Jew from out a synagogue, that live out a bush or live in a town. Don't treat no man as a come around. Those kind of things are not accepted, cause every man is related. See, what could you have been thinking of? What could you have been dreaming of? A certain man tell me to feel a thing. Me draw me wristler and me lick it up. See, him say no have no herb, him only have crack. Shock, me look down pan and put me wristler back. Me never know him did that take the rock. It seems like
Kill me with dub. Oh, baby. Kill
get that one on the album. Babylon is a Trap, dub jockey label, Deep Meditation. Past the hour of 11 o'clock. This is PCR 105.1. You're in tune to the Rootsman alongside Dub Judah and Alpha and Omega, live and direct. Tell me what your future plans are in records, live work, that type of thing.
There's no gigs planned as yet, as such, right? But right, and I'm actually in the process of making a couple of albums. I'm making one album for a guy named Sazima. I don't know if you've heard of him. It's the Ethiopian World Federation's official sound. Yeah. Well, that's coming on the finished stage now. It's just ready for mixing. There's a lot of artists, other artists other than myself, that have got tracks to come out on the Dub Jockey label. Right now we're just making sure that all the finances, everything's sorted out together now. Got a few. Actually, I had a mishap today. You know, I had a free, as you know, I had some DAT tapes. You know, in my thing on the way down. I accidentally left them on the thing. It's got some of my work on. Free DAT tape full of music, 120s. If anybody ever spots them. In a big giant bag, a duffel type bag, you know. Let Rootsman know. Yeah, there's some work coming. I'll play you some of the stuff, like the half finished mixes, what you would call dub mixes. Got quite a few of those. I'll let you hear. Maybe the next thing you're going to hear is an LP called Crossroads. Which I'll probably play a track after that if you want. Should I go straight into it? Yeah, why not? This is written by a friend of mine, Disco Dread. He plays on Vibes FM. I don't know if you know that radio station in London. All those who know that. You look big up, Disco Dread. When you're reaching out this studio, be a smoke. Man, have to put on them gas masks. You know?
Yeah, that selection, digital audio tape, dubplate style.
And hi to Bob out there, who's on the coach with us as well. All right.
So much trouble in this world, let's not be moved. Mixed up mood, so many attitudes. Don't put your trust in Lucifer. He would draw your blood, he's a vampire. Ooh now, ooh now, ooh now. Aya, 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 aya. Haya, 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 haya. Where in this world do you know a place where righteous people can go? When people say money still exists, making the world go round and round with hypocrisy. Ooh now, ooh now, ooh now. Aya, 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 aya. Aya, 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 aya. They move us down the line. Yeah, they never give us no time. Hey, hey, hey. Crossroads, crossroads. I know that there is such a heal. The power of peace is to be still. If food is for thought, you will be fed. The word and the soul is far from dead. Ooh now, ooh now, ooh now. Aya, 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 aya. Aya, aya.
Rootsman, show them rhythm, boy, show them rhythm, show them. Go there, go there, go there, go there, go there, go there. Wicked, 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 wicked.
They move us down the line, yeah. They never give us no time. Crossroads,
Yo.
Yeah, straight off the DAT there. Don't know what happened to the end of that. Right. What I want to ask both of you is, what do you actually reckon to the present state of reggae as we speak right now, the complete scene?
Well, for me, I can't really complain too. I'll tell you what I will complain about in the music business is the gun talk and so forth and so forth. Get some in nerves. But the styles of music what's been played on, I'm not going to say I don't like it, because there's quite a lot of good stuff going on now. Even the mixed stuff, like the soul mixed with house and the house mixed with dub and so forth. That's kind of new venture of what people are going into. I think that's quite a good idea. You know what I mean? Occasionally I have to actually play that kind of music myself for other people. And I find with crossing over any kind of reggae into any kind of music, it seems to help. Well, both obviously they help hand in hand, but I think that it's the dub that's got the more swing, if you get what I mean. It sort of makes it identify. As soon as you hear a bit of it, you say, "Oh, that sounds like a bit of reggae." You know what I mean? Yeah, but in general, I mean, I like the way that people are taking more interest in the roots scene at the moment. I think it's got a lot of elements must be building. I mean, probably due to the war last year, due to this, due to that. Probably people are taking more care about the roots, and maybe also that they can see what's happening to these on the street, going into the crack and all that sort of stuff. Nobody really wants it. I don't even think the people who are taking it want it, you know what I mean? I think it's just a shame. But I think music's can play a big part in, straightening some people out. In fact, it's done a lot to hinder people. So I think it's fair for people who are dealing with righteousness in music to actually, put a positive example forward for the youth. That's my opinion on music. Overall, is still a good, I still see a good future for it. Especially roots as well.
Well, me personally, I think it's the most exciting time for many years. I mean, there's so much positiveness coming in. It's really good. Lots of new artists are actually coming into the roots scene. It's very, very good. Some of the vibes in London, when you go to shaka dances, it's brilliant. It's really very, very good.
Yeah, and of course, people reach up the dance tomorrow, then they're going to hear roots and culture to the fullness. Do you want to drop a DAT selection, Judah, whilst we touch one off the LP?
Well, I tell you, I've got a track here which is done by the lead singer. Actually, the vocals. This is the dub version. It's got a bit of his voice on it from Russ Benji. Hi, Russ Benji. Hi, Brother Jah Foundation Posse. Yes, and the track is called "Tell Him About Jah." It was written just around the period of the Saddam War, whatever war you can call that. I don't know. It's got a name. I would call it kind of Armageddonish war, the last days kind of war. If it'll start, this is a DAT selection. Yeah, roll it.
Yeah, straight off the DAT, this one.
Tell them about John, them a deal with war. Tell them about John, them a deal with war. Tell them about John, them a deal. Warfare on their brain.
Strictly dubplate style Rootsman. Flash it, run it. Dubplate. Brand new, good for you. This is a dubplate selection played by the Rootsman without any objection.
Deal with war, they got war on their minds again. War again, they got warfare on their brains. War again, got warfare on their brains. President Bush, he sent out his fighter planes. him go down a rock again. What a shame. Why?
Are the lyrics from Raspberry Guy song? From the Dub Jockey stable.